Wii Play Motion is Nintendo's attempt to use a minigame collection as a way to sell more controllers. And I have to say, I think it's way better than their first attempt with the original game, Wii Play, which I didn't have a lot of nice things to say about it.
The minigames included are either crappier versions of already released games, or their games are so stupid no one's going to want to play them. By far, the most fun game in this entire collection is one I made up on my own. It's called Punch My Mii in the Balls.
This time Nintendo got help from several developers to actually come up with some games that people actually want to replay. That was a very smart move on their part, since all the games in this title have at least some appeal to them. There are 12 official games to play. I say official because there are a few hidden ones which we'll get into later. So why don't we look at each of them briefly. Cone Zone. God has decided to treat his children with some dessert, so he has your character hold a huge cone, and he'll drop scoops of ice cream down from the heavens for you to enjoy. Your Mii has to keep the ice cream from falling down and killing everyone below from the impact of the frozen treats. The problem was that your character was too small on the screen to tell which way you should lean, so it could be fun once or twice, but it's really not something you're going to want to play too much. Veggie Garden. This one's just more of a complex version of Whack-A-Mole. You have to stop the moles from taking the fruit that you have sitting in front of these holes. The moles will try and grab the fruit, and you have to beat them over the head to get them to stop. Occasionally a Mii will stick their head out of the hole to give you some more fruit if you lose one, so you're going to need to be careful not to hit them. The moles will have helmets, Mii masks, and gymnastics to stop you from hitting them. Now this one was alright, just like the first game, but it's not going to be something that you're going to want to play more than once. Skip Skimmer. Now this was the first really replayable game, and I love this one, mainly because it reminded me when I would take trips to the lake with my family, and I would skip stones on the water. It controlled perfectly, and I love the fact that they let you choose the stone that you could skip. What I loved even more was the different kind of stones you could throw. Like not just the normal kind that you would see at the lake, but special ones like boomerangs, which would change the angle of your skips, or a dog one, which would have a barking sound every time it skipped. This one was just a lot of fun. Pose Me Plus. Out of all the games in the original title, why oh why did they choose this one to redo? Why couldn't they just leave it dead and buried? I thought Pose Me was the stupidest one on the original game. Now this updated one was better, but it was still as boring as ever to play. Unlike the original game, it'll automatically put you in the correct arm and leg positions. You just need to maneuver your Mii around to fit in between the cutouts. Trigger Twist. Here's another remake from the original game. This one's actually pretty good though. It had some really original gameplay in it. What I mean is that you don't just point at the screen to kill the enemies sometimes. Sometimes you have to point away from the screen in order to shoot the bad guys. When you move your Wiimote away from the screen, it'll move the screen and stay that way as long as you're moved away from the screen. It was tricky to aim at the targets that weren't in front of you, but it was fun to play. Plus, this one was a lot of fun in multiplayer. Jump Park. Jump Park is a kid's dream. Bouncing around without a care in the world, collecting gems. If I was to ever open like an amusement park, this would be my star attraction. For the 10 minutes my park was open before it was closed down from the massive amount of lawsuits from the people hurt on this attraction, but it still would have been fun for those 10 minutes. The game has a very simple setup, but it was very fun to play. You collect 100 gems and then the next part is opened up, and you keep doing this until you reach your goal at the top of the screen. Teeter Targets. This was a very interesting game. You smack a ball up to break a target. It looks simple, but they give you extra points if you hit some of the optional things in the level. It may look like an easy game to win, but some of the later levels were very hard to win without a little luck. Spooky Search. This one was just awesome. I've talked before how much I love the Ghostbusters, but this one takes the concept of catching ghosts to an extremely fun yet frustrating level. It goes like this. There are ghosts all around you, but you can't see them. You have to blindly point your Wiimote up, behind, and all around until you hear beeps on your Wiimote to tell you where the ghosts are. When you get a long enough tone, you press and hold the B button and drag that ghost kicking and screaming into a trap. To help you out, watch the Mii's on the screen to see where the ghosts are by watching the way they're looking. The ghosts won't always go in on their first try, so sometimes you're going to need to be persistent to get them all in the trap. Wind Runner. This one was interesting. Having your Mii holding an umbrella while wearing roller skates on the windiest day ever recorded. This game really feels like what some stupid teenager would come up with. I mean, I could totally see it. Hey guys, I have an idea. Let's get this umbrella, put some roller skates on, and we'll go out in the hurricane, and we'll go windsurfing. I'll see you guys in the hospital. Woo! You maneuver your umbrella so the wind will propel you towards your goal. It was a simple little game, which you'll kind of enjoy a couple times. Treasure Twirl. In this one, you have to spin your Wiimote like a crank in order to lower your Mii down to the cartoon-like treasures below. You spin it around one way to make it go down, and the other way to bring your Mii back up. You have to avoid jellyfishes and collect the oxygen to make it back up to the top. It was a very simple yet forgettable game. Flutterfly. In this game, you have to blow your balloon around with a leaf. It was one of the most disappointing additions to the series. It was very generic and frankly kind of boring. I found it a bit hard to control at times moving the balloon around the obstacles to get to the finish. It just wasn't that compelling to play. Star Shuttle. Have you ever wanted to simulate docking your spaceship into a station? Well, this game is for you. This has to be one of the most realistic space simulators I've ever seen. You have to maneuver your spacecraft into the access port, and it's not easy. You have to deal with the inertia of once you start moving, it's hard to balance out your craft. You're going to overcompensate a lot, but it is fun to play. These games also have a bonus mode to unlock, so there is some replayability in some of these games. I found that even some of the lamer games on here could get a little fun with a little variation. Now, I did say there were some hidden games, and that's true. On the title screen, if you don't do anything, you can access 2 of these games, Bubble Blow and Kaleidoscope. Plus, there's an extra one if you just hold down the B button. You'll be given the challenge of moving your hand around a big ball they give you, where you can massage it, turn it, or just smack it if you want. Well, now, why would you want to play or smack your ball? Why, to get to the hidden credits of the creators of this game. All these games can be played in a party game mode, sometimes with as little as 2 people, but there are some that as many as 4 people can play. You're required to have Motion Plus Wiimotes for all the people playing, so if you just have the regular Wiimotes without the add-on, unfortunately those are not going to work. However, it's understandable because the need for those special tracking abilities for these games are actually really needed, due to the complexity of the movements of some of the characters on the screen. Wii Play Motion was fun. I would have never guessed that when I first went to play it. I still had the bad taste of the previous game in my mouth, so it was refreshing to see that Nintendo has learned from their mistakes of putting the least amount of thought into their game collections and making a title with quite a few memorable games. If you're looking to buy a new Wiimote with the Motion Plus technology in it, this would be a great buy for you. But if you already have enough Wiimotes and you just want to try this game out, then you should only rent it.